Well, hello everyone, and we welcome all those that are joining us from all over the country, including other parts of the world. We know that there's people that have joined us from Colombia to Alaska to England to Australia, all over. So welcome to our webinar tonight. Tonight we will be talking a little bit about, again, about pain and inflammation, specifically to do with locked shoulder, frozen shoulder, and some other applications as well. And we'll be giving more information about PBM as well. So thank you for joining us tonight. Okay, we will be starting with our video. Sam, if you'd like to do that, please.
PBM stands for Photobiomodulation. Photo being light, bio being biology, and light, well, light coming from some kind of source. In this case, PBM is used to help stimulate healing in the body, whether it's an LED, whether it's a laser, whether it's the sun, but that light comes through the skin layers, and actually the cells are able to absorb that light, converting it to energy, and then there's a host of different processes that are stimulated because of that light. So you can speed up healing, you can do different things that is very beneficial for the cells themselves, for healing, for reduction of inflammation, and a host of other things. Kerber USA is a company that we have set up to promote healing for the US and around the world. We would like to see this technology help a lot of people. We use LED technology where we can provide high amounts of light into the body, and that stimulates healing. I'd like to introduce you to the SunPowerLED Palm Ultimate. This device here has the most power of the series of devices. This light can produce a huge amount of light that can enter into the body and help speed up that healing. In this device, we have two different wavelengths. It's 660 nanometer, and as you can see, it's very bright, but it's very effective. You will cause a systemic effect with this wavelength of light. The other wavelength is 810. It's not very visible, but it penetrates very deep, and that can help as well reach the target that you're trying to reach. The main part about this light is that we have the power behind it and the large surface area that can reach very deep into the body. We believe that our product is the most powerful LED cluster under the sun. We have specification of this device of 150 milliwatts per square centimeter, and that is over this entire area of 40 square centimeters. It also provides a wall of light that comes through the skin and is able to reach depths that have never been able to be done before with other light products on the market. There's an interesting biblical passage in Malachi 4:2 that talks about the healing that comes from the rays of the sun. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to provide healing with these rays. PBM has also been shown in various studies to be able to help promote healing in wounds such as diabetic ulcers, venous ulcers, and other areas where cuts or burns or other types of wounds are on the skin level. If you have any questions about PBM and how our light device, the SunPowerLED Palm series, can help you, please reach out to us and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Okay, well, tonight we're going to have a few guests on. We're going to have Brad Little, his wife Kathleen, and also Jill, and they will be speaking about how light has benefited them. And this time we had to, according to schedules, we needed to bring them on as a video, so we will be putting it on now. Hi, Kathleen.
Hi, Tom.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Very good, thanks. So can you tell me a little bit about the light therapy? First of all, did when you first heard about it, did you believe that it would actually could make a difference?
No, no, because I didn't understand it, and I didn't see it until I had injured my shoulder, and then I came to see you and tried it, and immediately saw results.
That so what did you use? Was it one of the Palm devices?
Not initially, because it was what, 2019, I think.
Oh, okay, that would have been one of our earlier devices then. Was
Right.
it the Genesis
Yes.
Health Light then that we used, the big
Yeah.
hair
Possible.
dryer one?
Yeah, bigger one.
Yeah,
And
it looked like
yeah, because it was on my frozen shoulder, and I couldn't even lift my arm in front or sideways. And then I had, I think it was about 20 minutes on it. And immediately I was able to get 45 degrees movement. And
right.
then with more treatment, and it didn't take long, more treatment, I was able to raise my arm right up above my head. So, which I definitely need for when I play drums or bagpipes.
Right. Well, that was your first experience. Did you have anything else you used it on?
When I broke my hand 2 years ago in the summer, after I got the cast off, I kept using the light and was able to get quicker movement in my hand because I was unable to close my hand. And with regular treatment of the light, it didn't take long, and I was able to get a full fist.
And that's using the red, this is what we call it, photobiomodulation or red light therapy. It's pretty
Yeah.
amazing what it can do.
Oh, it
And
is.
now you can see and believe how light
Oh,
can make a difference.
oh, absolutely. And I find too that it's very relaxing.
Hmm.
I I almost want to sleep when I got it on, whatever area, like the wrist or on my shoulder. I can remember just relaxing so much with it.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on. And not only that, you've also shared the light with a few other individuals as well.
With great treatment, great results as well. A friend of mine in the band, she also had a frozen shoulder, and she couldn't believe how quickly it worked for her as well.
That, that's wonderful. Well, we
Because
had one individual in particular that they had been doing work for with physiotherapy for like 6 months, and they just had a little bit of range of motion.
mhm.
Within one treatment, they were able to see quite a change. Uh,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. Well, thank you very much for being on tonight, and all the best. All right.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, take
Bye for
care.
now.
Okay, bye-bye.
Well, now we're going to have our next guest on, Brad Little. So, Brad,
Hi,
how you
Tom.
doing today?
Good. How are you?
Very good, thanks. So, how did it? So, how did you hear about the light therapy?
We've known each other for many years, and like anybody else, the first time I heard about the light therapy, well, okay, that might be good. And then when I started using it and seeing other people's results, it just blew me away. I'm an absolute believer, as you know, and helping you with trying to promote the light and get people to use it, and we've had several friends use the light with great results, and I use it almost every day. And one thing I do every day is I use the light on my head, and I started doing that because of the helmet light, and I found that was just phenomenal. I felt so much better and thought more clearly after using the helmet light. And it's now using the light on my head as part of a daily ritual. And whenever I have an ache or pain or something like that, my feet are sore, I use the light on them, on whatever part. It absolutely helps. I don't have some great injury that I can say I've recovered from, and the light was
Right.
responsible. So it's good that I don't have an injury, but I'm sorry I don't have a great recovery story. But the
That's
light,
okay. But
the,
the usage for a normal daily kind of PBM light can be very beneficial, which you've been able to experience.
Oh, extremely so. Yeah, the couple times we've lent the light out to friends and not had it around, it's been almost a bit of a panic. The light's not here in case we need it, and so yeah, it's just a wonderful device, and you know, thank you for working so hard to develop it and bring it to market. We're very grateful.
Well, I want to thank you, Brad, for the years that you have supported me in working on the patent writing. So, Brad has been working with me on the patents, and I have a number of patents to my name because of Brad's work. And that's been over the years. But thank you, Brad, for what you've done for us and for this light technology.
My pleasure, Tom. I look forward to many years ahead of doing great stuff with the light.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you again, Brad, for joining us tonight.
My pleasure, Tom. Take care.
All right, bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Well, I hope you enjoyed those first two interviews. We now have Jill, who is another one that experienced frozen shoulder and how she responded. Hi, Jill. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. So, what's your story? How did you find out about the PBM light?
Well, I found out about it through a friend of mine. I play in a competitive pipe band. I play tenor drum, and it requires playing tenor drum requires a lot of movements with the arms and shoulders for visual effect and for what we do for playing. And my friend in the in the pipe band, knew that I had been struggling for about 18 months to 2 years with a frozen shoulder.
Right.
I don't even know if it's an injury. It's just something that happened without any kind of explanation. But I had frozen shoulder, and for upwards of 2 years, I was dealing with pain with certain movements and a significant amount of reduction in my range of motion, which made it difficult for me to play with the band and do other things in life. So my friend said she knew of this light, that I should give it a try, and she offered to let me borrow her light. So I did, because I had kind of plateaued. I had been seeking a number of alternative treatments like acupuncture, and I was also seeing a physiotherapist, and I had just completely plateaued in my healing. Been a number of months, and there had been no more significant improvement, and I was really frustrated.
So your range of motion at that time was really shortened.
Yeah, I would say I was by that point, I was kind of plateaued at probably 70% of my functionality with my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And I was frustrated because it had been a long time, and there was still periods where I would have really sharp pains. And I wanted to do, activities that I enjoyed previously, and I couldn't because of the restrictions. So that's how I found out about the light. I had heard of red light therapy before, didn't know a whole lot about it, but was definitely interested in trying it because I had heard good things about what it can do for the body. So that's how I found out.
Okay. And so you started using the light. How often did you use the light?
I used the light, I believe, once a day. Mm-hmm. For probably 15 to 20 minutes in that range of time, just once a day. Sometimes I might have done it twice a day, but definitely once a day. And within 2 weeks, right away, within a matter of a couple of days, I noticed a difference. And by 2 weeks of using it daily, I had no more pain, and I was at full range of motion again with my shoulder. Right. And I have not used it since. I have not needed to use it since. I am right back to pre-frozen shoulder abilities.
Beautiful. And did that also affect your sleep then with pain?
It did. It did. There would be certain times where, I'd roll over certain movements while I was sleeping. I would get a jolt of pain in my shoulder. I couldn't sleep on it was my left shoulder that was affected rather. So I couldn't sleep on my left side either. And that's not an issue anymore.
That's really neat. And you haven't needed to use it since, and you're still pain-free and everything.
Yeah. 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 One of the things I really missed being able to do while I had the issue going on was I did a lot of yoga. I did yoga multiple times a week, and it made it really hard for me to do the majority of the poses that you need to do in yoga. Every now and then I would try to do just a standing only yoga, but still you have to extend your arms or put your arms above your head or just do certain things, and I couldn't do it. So I went almost 2 years without doing yoga, and I'm back to doing that now with absolutely no modifications and no restrictions. So
beautiful.
nice.
And that was all due to
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, the therapies that I was doing helped to a certain extent, but I just plateaued, and no matter what we were doing, I couldn't get past that plateau, and the light did it for me. I wished I had known about the light sooner. I probably wouldn't have suffered for so long.
Well, I want to thank you, Jill, for coming on today.
Oh, no problem.
All the best. And
thank you.
Tell everybody about it.
I do. I do spread the word. No, it's wonderful. Right. It's a wonderful product. And yeah, I would highly recommend it to anybody who is dealing with a physical issue that needed something more and effective.
Well, thank you, Jill.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Well, tonight I'm going to go through some slides, but I'll just do a little bit of the information beforehand. For those that are going to be staying to the end of our webinar, we are entering you into a draw. Every time you join us every week, you enter it and stay to the end. You end up being entered as a single ballot for each time. So the more times you join us, the more times you have a chance of winning our Super Palm 1050 at the end of the month. So tonight, I'd like to address some of the applications of PBM. And in particular, I've been working with Dr. Praveen Irani for the last, I think it's now 4 years. He is known worldwide in PBM circles and very, very knowledgeable, and has done all sorts of research with PBM. And he puts together some great slides, and I'm just going to borrow 2 of the slides. He said I could use them, so I'm going to do that now. So I'll just jump forward with this slide since we've got it up. Many people have asked me, well, what about if PBM can promote healing, can promote cell growth, can do a whole host of things? What about when it comes to cancer? Will it cause the cancer cell growth? And what some more recent studies have been able to show is that through the direct effects, it's like on the left-hand side, you see the superhero, but he's getting beat up by the PBM therapy. Basically, there's a number of different mechanisms that are by PBM that when we're talking red light therapy or photobiomodulation, that is actually causing a negative environment for the cancer to grow. And it's beautiful to see how there's been a few interesting cases that I've seen where it's possible that this could be helpful in combination with other cancer treatments. And the other side is that you're helping the immune system to fight off the villain, in this case, in this picture. So it helps for the lymphatic drainage of the area, and it helps with the vascular supply and does some interesting anti-tumor effects when it comes to the immune response. So that's one of the slides. The other slide I wanted to show you was the one where it's all different kinds of applications. So interesting enough, goes way back, something like 60 years ago. There was a study done with rats where they did an incision on the rats, and when they were wondering about what light therapy would do, as a matter of fact, to see if it would have an effect on cancer, they actually saw that there was hair growth that occurred on the mice where they had been shaven. The hair growth was very fast compared to the area that was not treated with the light. Tinnitus, or tinnitus, however you pronounce it, PBM can be beneficial there. Skin rejuvenation to help with collagen production. Neck pain, to be able to loosen up the muscles in the upper neck area. There's a number of reasons why it can do that. It's not because of heat, or you could just have a hot bean bag and put it on there. No, the light actually goes in and causes blood flow on through the area, and that helps as well as releasing the muscles. There's just a host of things as you see on this diagram. There's arthritis. If you have arthritis in joints, you can reduce the inflammation in the area and actually promote healing. Wound healing, as I mentioned, with diabetic foot ulcers. A person can actually use light too for laser acupuncture, another method of delivering light. It's possible to use our light for that. Tendonitis, anything to do with Achilles heel, and plantar fasciitis. There's a pop-up video that you can look at on our website with one of the individuals who is a runner, and he had real pain in his foot. It was diagnosed as plantar fasciitis, and he was able to use the light on that area and be able to not only reduce the pain and get it right back into shape again, but was able to go back running again. And now that he's using it as a part of his regular routine to use the light on the bottom of his feet in those areas, he hasn't had any problem and has been able to do very, very well in half marathon. Muscle fatigue helps improve the cellular response in the area. Carpal tunnel, a number of people that I've seen with problems in their wrist area through their hand. And matter of fact, two different people I knew, they had been wearing braces, one of them for over a year, and was not getting any relief and continuous pain. And with using the light through the area on the back of the wrist and up the inner arm, was able to have totally relief from, not only total relief, but she was able to go back to normal and not have to wear the support anymore, the braces. The other one as well, she had a special type of the piece that went around her wrist area, and she was able to get away from not having to use it anymore without any more pain. So just a number of different problems. Now we come up to the area of the brain, and there is people have done a lot of research with the brain and how light can be very beneficial. Some would say, hey, but how about going through the skull? How can the light penetrate through the skull? Well, it turns out that near red and near infrared, especially near infrared, has no problem going through bone. Bone is a high mineral content, so it's more like salt. And you can get a big chunk of salt and shine light through it, no problem, because it has a high mineral content. And the light it can actually transmit along the bone. It's almost like, in electronic terms, a light pipe. So it can carry the light along the bone easier than it can go through normal flash. So it's possible to go into the brain, and there's been work. Again, this beautiful slide was put together from Dr. Praveen Irani, but he talks about the potential with the brain, that You can help with strokes, with TBI, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and a number of other types of injury brain issues. So that gives you a little idea of the different kinds of applications, and that's just a quick overview. But there's basically wherever in the body you have a cell, and that's basically anywhere in the body, you can help that cell to give it extra energy. And what happens there is the light can, when it goes into the cell, it can be absorbed by the mitochondria, which then is the powerhouse of the cell, and that helps with a host of things. There's and once the cell is powered up, it has all the energy it needs to do all the other functions. I've heard it said that it's almost like it also helps ungumming the cells, so it helps some of these transport mechanisms that are going on inside the cell to perform better. So that's why light can do that. When it comes to, I just thought I'd come back to the brain. Very interesting. We've been able to see a number of people who have used our helmet to say that they have found a real improvement in their sleep pattern after using it. As a matter of fact, one of the women, she mentioned that she realized that she had to do the last light treatment. She'd do two to three treatments a day, but for sure, the last time she'd use it would have to be just around the supper hour and not later. If she did, then she'd fall asleep really early on her husband. So by the time he got to bed, she was fast asleep. So she said she had to change her rhythm as to when to use the light. But not as she benefited greatly. We also more recently, well, over the last 2 years, been able to see some people with seizures, brain seizures caused by problems on the brain, and they've been able to be improved as well. So now what I'd like to do is just go over to a slide deck that I have, and I'd like to take you through. Now, I'd like to mention too that if you'd like to post your questions, we'd like to try and answer them, and we will do our best at doing that. Or if we can't catch it for some reason, if you send your question to info@sunpowerled.com, that's info@sunpowerled.com, we'll try and answer your questions. You can easily order on our website. Go to the sunpowerled.com and go to the shop page and buy. You can buy there. I'll mention that with Christmas coming up, we'd like to offer well, Christmas, not only Christmas, but also Black Friday right now coming up. We'd like to start with we'd like to give $100 off on any of the whether it's the Palm Professional, Ultimate, or Super Palm. You can get $100 off if you order on our webpage or call us directly. So let's go to the slide deck then. Okay, I just wanted to show you, this is a camera, or actually a basic camera, a digital camera. And what it's showing here is that the left-hand side, you'll see the 660 nanometer wavelength. And if you look carefully, you'll see that the light is shining quite easily right through the cheek. But very little, depending on your contrast on your screen, you may see a little bit coming through the gum line. And if we go over to the right-hand side, you'll see that this is 810 nanometer. And so the light is not only going through the cheek, but it's also going through the gum as well. So just to give you, that is visible. And the thing is, most of the camera equipment can't see the wavelengths that are coming out of our device, especially if you have an iPhone. But if you have a Android, many of the Android phones don't have the best optics. So you will be able to see the 810 nanometer with your phone much better. So next slide, please. So this is basically what happens when you're talking of a low power device. And the same thing can be translated to a higher power device like ours, but it penetrates much, much deeper than what's shown on this slide. So when we get to the 450 nanometer wavelength, which is a blue, it doesn't penetrate very deep, very, very shallow into the upper layer of the skin. When it comes to going to 660 nanometer, now you're penetrating much deeper. And then as you get to the near infrared, which is 810 or 1050, 810 being our ultimate or professional or ultimate devices, and the 1050 would be our super palm. But the 1050 is not showing here, but it actually penetrates even further than the 810. Depending on tissue type and that. So this is just a quick view of what happens when you go towards the red and near infrared. And after you get through 1050, it goes a little bit further to 1350 nanometer. And at that point, the penetration of any type of light can't get very deep at all. It just heats up the surface of the skin. So many would say to me, well, what about my far infrared sauna? Well, far infrared is far off to the side, like 800. You'd have to go way down the scale, very, very long wavelengths. And in that case, there is no penetration. It just heats up the surface of the skin. So it's much like if you passed by a hot stove, you feel that instant heat. The reason being is it heats up the water in your skin. All the energy is absorbed in the top layer of the skin, and it doesn't penetrate at all. And so that's what happens with the far infrared. Near infrared is different. Near infrared is that region up to 1300 nanometer that actually can penetrate much deeper. So next slide, please. I want to show you a picture of how this can help with wound healing. The couple slides later, I just warn you, I'll hope I remember, but there's a slide that's pretty gruesome on diabetic foot ulcer. But in this case, this individual had swung a pickaxe, young 19-year-old, and when he swung the pickaxe, it unfortunately went through the surface much easier than he thought, and the momentum that he had ended up swinging and hitting himself just above the ankle, which, as you can see, cut the tendon right through. They then sewed it up, and unfortunately, the incision came, the tendon came apart, so they had to do a secondary surgery. This is actually the secondary surgery, so it was much more involvement, much more damage to the area through the operation. And then the light was being used, and you can see the beginning started showing how it looked. But what happened was he was told that it was going to be 6 to 9 months to be able to once again regain full walking motion with the healing that was taking place. And you can imagine if you're stuck in the cast, the muscle atrophies, a lot of things. So the cast was done in such a way so that it could be removed and put back on, and used the PBM 3 times a day on the area. And what happened was really good results to the point where he was, as I mentioned, supposed to be 6 to 9 months. If we can have the next slide, please. And push the play. Just click on it. Okay. Oh, maybe we can't make it work on this one here. That's okay. It's actually so this is 1 month after his accident, and he's able to walk across the area. It was pretty neat to see. So if we can get the next slide, please. Oh, there we go. Cooperated. You want to do that again? So that's 1 month after you starting right off with day, like 3 days after the major surgery, and he did not need to take any painkillers. Anytime the pain came on, he came back at it with the light. But there you go. Shows how fast healing can take. So next slide, please. Okay, so here's a sort of nasty picture of a diabetic ulcer. On the left-hand side, you can see that this foot was scheduled for amputation within the week of this picture, and they held out no hope whatsoever of anything getting better in this situation. Well, the daughter managed to get the light into the hospital, and this woman ended up being able to treat herself once a day for 10 minutes on the red and 10 minutes on the near infrared. That'd be the 660 setting and the 810. And within 2 months, you can see how fast it had healed down to that point. And it took still another up to 2 months to be absolutely fully healed shut. And she was able to walk around with her foot. She was able to get mobility back and everything through that foot. So can I have the next slide, please? This is an individual who ended up using the light for chest surgery. He had heart surgery done. They had to put they had to do multiple things with veins, artery replacement. And so on the left-hand side, you see the major incision. And on the right-hand side, this was within 1 month's time. How well it's very, very hard to actually see the surgery where the cutting was done. So if we can go to the next slide, please. This was an interesting situation. On this individual, he had a vein harvested from his arm. That's his forearm. And the picture on the top is actually his leg, where they harvested a vein from his leg. So he put the two side by side. Now, unfortunately, it was just the way the angle of the light was hitting it that you saw such a color difference, so much dimmer, so much lighter on his arm. But as you look at the incision on his arm, there's no puckering. It's beautiful. It looks really, really nice, healing. And on the top, where his leg is, that's the side of his leg. He decided on that because it was he likes to wear long pants, and it was just not convenient for him to do the treatments. He decided to only treat once a week. Well, you can see that the upper part is still a ways to go before healing would take place. So the arm shows how when he treated daily that he had good success, and when he only treated once a week, you can see. Now, probably that's still better than somebody who hasn't done any PPM, but we don't have another arm or leg to show where he didn't treat at all. So next slide, please. So on the left-hand side, you'll see a person that had a stroke. They used my helmet. Now, this was 2 months after the stroke. It was extremely difficult for him to speak, and he had a strong slur. And that was so bad that you could not understand him on the phone. He did a 4-minute light treatment with our helmet, and the next day, people noticed a huge change in his ability to speak clearly. In the middle was an individual, young boy, 10 years old, that had fallen from an 8-foot-high fence and really banged his head and had a bad concussion. He went to the hospital and he was throwing up and headaches and seeing double. And after his first, he did his first treatment, he had a patch over one eye because it was so bad. This was at day 8 after the incident. He had a patch over his eye and he couldn't take it off without seeing severely double, and did the treatment. And 2 days later, he came back and he wasn't wearing the patch. His vision had corrected within the 2 days. He mentioned to me before he did the treatment, he says, well, on that far wall, it's still a little fuzzy. It's kind of can't make it out quite clearly, but otherwise it was pretty good. When he did another 3-minute treatment, he said when he came out of the treatment room, he says, oh, he says, that's clear over there. And he was surprised, so was his mother. He did another treatment 3 days later, and that was the end of the headaches. He was able to function as a normal kid after day 8. The third treatment. So that would have been 8 days after beginning day 16. Then he was able to see everything normal. On the right-hand side, you'll see we have the mini canopy. It's our largest device. It's 6 of the mini canopies, and it's another device we have for clinics. So now go to the next slide, please. And you can use this for TMJ, for TMD, and this is a dentist showing how it can be used for those to loosen up the muscles in those areas. Okay, can I go to the next slide, please? What we have is what we call a wall of light, which means that there's a very even amount of light, even when you're as far, just about 20 millimeters from the source of the LEDs. And that's because the way we have the light coming out of it, we have enough density there that there's a real evenness by the time you reach to the surface of the skin. But then we have across the layer of skin, it's very, very even illumination or energy or power density. So with that, we can get much deeper than a lot of the other alternative products out there that may use LEDs with extra lenses in front. Well, the lenses just shoot the light into smaller areas, but in the end, they don't have the power, and then you will not end up with as deep a treatment as what we have because of what we're doing with our wall of light technology. We have a trademark. I have some patents to this technology, so and some other forms of technology as well. Can I get the next slide, please? I just want to show you that when it comes to safety and depth, really when it comes to laser versus LEDs, on the left-hand side, we lowered the power coming out of the LED to the point where it's only putting out 3 milliwatts of light power, just like the laser. Now, some would think that the laser is going to shoot a dot across the room. Then if you're going to shoot it at your hip or you're going to shoot it at your arm or shoulder, that's going to end up with a point source that's going to end up going there. That's not what happens. As soon as the light penetrates through the first layers of skin, it diffuses in all directions. And so the idea of a dot no longer is the case. In this case, you can see that there's very little difference optically when you look at the light that's coming out of the top surface of my fingernail here. The other thing that happens too is it makes no difference if it's the same power level. You're looking very similar in the amount of light that can get into the skin. And even when it comes to a very slight improvement on losses of some reflection off the skin with laser versus LED, we can more than amply make up for it when it comes to the amount of light power that we have. Now, on the bottom of that screen, you'll see that if you're talking about safety on the eye, with the laser, you would have that point that could end up going right back to the back of the retina and damaging the retina because it's a hot spot of light, very focused, very high intensity. Whereas with LEDs, the power diffuses fairly quickly, so there's no hot spots on the back of the eye. So we'll skip the next slide. This just talks again about the safety to the retina. Go ahead. So our units are very powerful. We have the professional having a considerable amount of optical power. We're talking of 5,500 milliwatts per coming out of the device. That's for the 660 nanometer. And when we're looking at 810 nanometer, we had 3,500. Now, what happens when we get to the ultimate is we have more power, optical power from the thing, about another 25 of the Palm devices. So we have about another 25% more power coming from it then with the ultimate. And then we have our newest model, next slide, please, is the Super Palm. And the Super Palm is the one that we have that has the 1050 nanometer. And it's our most power that we have, where we have as much as 7,500 milliwatts of power on the 660 and 6,500 milliwatts with the 810, the 1050. And so just to give you an idea, that's power levels of 187 milliwatts per square centimeter at 660 and 162 milliwatts at 1050. We have that large area of light, which I can't get into it because of time, but as you increase the area that the light comes out of with the same power density, it actually ends up helping you to penetrate with higher levels of light deeper. So if there's just a number of things, I'll just say that this thing is very lightweight. You're talking something that's very portable. So if you're into traveling, you can take it with you as one of those devices that easily fits into the luggage. Also, with its real lightweightness, you can hold it for wherever you're trying to put it without putting extra muscle strain by trying to hold it in those areas. Okay, thank you for the slides. We'll switch over to the just normal. Okay. Okay, so just a quick recap. So we have the different devices. We'll give you a $100 discount with promo 100, really with the Black Friday. So that is the discount code. So we have the, as I mentioned, this is the, this here is our professional, and it has the 660 nanometer. And just to show you the depth that we can be looking at, it's going right through my hand fairly easy. Now, if this is the 810 nanometer, and it doesn't look very bright, but actually it's even more intense. And if you had the right kind of camera, you could see it just blasting through my hand. So it can make a big difference there. That's the professional. That's at $975 minus the $100 discount. Then we have the ultimate, which is the next device up the list, which is the 25% more power. So it's $1,300. And it has the 2 wavelengths as well, but just with more power. And then we have our Super Palm, which in this case is the 660 and the 1050. Now, in this case, I can look at this 1050 and I can't even see it. But what you'd actually see is that you can't even see the light coming from this if I was to visibly look at it. But there is one indicator on here that one can see, so you can know that the unit is running. But these other purplish dots are ones that are the 1050, but your eyes can't see it at all. So it's pretty neat. That actually helps to penetrate a bit deeper. So we'll in a moment. So if you got some questions, please put your questions up. I also want to show you, we have here's the helmet. This device here has, there we go. So it has the 2 wavelengths in this device. We have the 660 nanometer and the 810 nanometer, and you can see it in underneath. It has 10 different places along the around the brain. And we have as well our, this is our mini canopy. This is a foot square. You saw its bigger brother. The bigger brother was the canopy, which is 3 of these long by 2 wide. So it covers a 3 foot by 2 foot area. So the, if I look at this, we're looking at there's the 1 wavelength. You can barely see it. There's a little bit of a purplish, there you go. If I put a little bit of shadow on it, you can see. That's the 1 wavelength, the 810, and then we have the 660 nanometer as well, out of this device here. So we got some questions come up. So which, Anita is asking which device was used for the shoulder injury. Well, one person was using the my first device, which was the Genesis Health Light. That's why I mentioned like a big hair dryer. And the other person ended up using the Super Palm, sorry, the Palm Ultimate for her shoulder injury. Basically the same type of optical power, only that my the device that I first came up with, which was really big and bulky, used a halogen light source. And it was pretty heavy to hold on to and bulky, but it did beautiful things. So we've seen over 15 years, 15 years of use of seeing people being helped with all different kinds of injuries. Many of those on that person that you saw with the labels on it, all the different applications. So Jerry is asking, how can this light speed up the recovery of my Achilles tendonitis? It's just beautiful. I don't know what to say other than the cells can take that energy and reduce the inflammation. You increase blood flow through the area, and those different things help the body to heal and reduce the pain and inflammation. As a matter of fact, one of the individuals who was had his Achilles tendon tear right off, and that was in March. He was on a basketball court and he did a toss up, and he when he did the jump, it snapped, and they reattached his tendon, and they said, you know what, yeah, it's going to be a long time. He says, well, I'm going to be able to play golf in you know, early summer, can I? You know, they said, you'd be lucky to play in late fall if you can. Well, he used the light every day, immediately, along the whole area, and he was out on the golf course in May of that same year. So instead of 3/4 of a year in healing, he was able to be able to heal in months of time. So Jerry, it's very likely that you could speed up the recovery. Craig, is the 810 nanometer better, particularly for gums and jaw? Well, as a matter of fact, both 660 and 810 are very good. If you want to treat through the through your cheek like this for the gums, that's very much 810 will penetrate through the cheek and get to the gum line that way. But we also have a adapter that allows you to put the like this, gives you a probe that you can put inside your mouth to direct the light from one of the LEDs right on top of the area that you're trying to treat. So that's one way for especially for dentists to get the optical probe adapter so that you can do treatments inside the mouth. Really, really good for herpes, the different types of cold sores and ulcers that can happen on the lips. You can shut that down and heal that extremely fast. Another question here is from Deborah. Are there different devices for different parts of the body? So different strengths? Well, basically, yes, I have the professional, the ultimate, and the super palm, and I do have also a classic version, but that's more for just topical skin applications for collagen and a little bit of surface healing and that kind of thing. But the professional, the ultimate has more power than the professional, and so if you were trying to treat sciatic hip pain, something deep in the hip, my recommendation would be to go with a little more power if you can, if you can go that way financially, with either the ultimate or with the super palm. But it's very possible to use the professional. So it's very easy to use the professional as well, but it's just going to be that you're going to spend a lot more time there. Craig, I'm going to answer your other question separately. We'll get back to you with an email on that. And so my recommendation as far as the 810 is for anywhere in the body. Sorry, the 810, the ultimate or the super palm. The 1050 nanometer is something that is the 1050 is something that is possible that it can do even more for the brain. There's newer stuff that's coming out, and the possibility exists that it may be able to penetrate a bit deeper with the 1050. Although we do have the helmet with the 660 and 810, we've also built it with the option of 1050, but that's a special order for that, and there's more cost behind it. So there's another question here. And then for 810 versus 1050 for treating infection on outside of the jaw, between the cheek and the jaw, 810 is definitely can be used. I did have one individual, a senior, who had 70 years of his infection in his bone by his ear. It had dissolved a big chunk of his skull by the ear, and he'd been on antibiotics. He'd been on all sorts of things, multiple surgeries to try and improve that situation, pain in the area, and well, he used the ultimate on that part of his where the infection was that he never could get rid of, and at 85 years old was able to see first the pus come out of the area. It started draining, and it healed up, and that was the end of his infection. Can you imagine that, fighting an infection for 70 years and on and off with multiple surgeries and everything, and in 2 weeks' time healing himself from an infection? So that's also why it can be so beneficial when it comes to diabetic foot ulcers. A lot of times there's infections there's bacteria in the area, and what it does is just help the body's immune system to go after and to battle with the infection that's taking place. So there's another question. What nanometer is the full canopy? So the full canopy is 660 and 810 nanometer. That's generally what we would make it for, under a special order and rolling up the Brinks truck to bring the money in, because it would be extremely costly to use the 1050 nanometer wavelength in a full canopy, unfortunately. But that's it's a special LED that we get in, and so our costs are much higher. And but generally speaking, the full canopy has the 660 and the 810 nanometer. Well, I think we've caught up with most of the questions. If you still have a couple questions, please visit us, call us during Eastern Standard Time hours, and we'll try and respond that way. Or if you'd like to email us at info@sunpowerled.com. And we really hope that you can, those out there that have our devices and have been answering have been asking these questions, who have units, that I really hope you can see continued improvement. We've talked to so many that improved with all different kinds of conditions already, and it's great to hear. So thank you for joining us tonight. We want to welcome you again for next Tuesday evening. We're not sure who the special guests will be at this point, but we'll be posting that as soon as we can. We also have on our website a series of videos. If you go to past videos, you can look at different videos that we've recently done from different webinars. Also, please visit the shop page and purchase one of these lights for one of your family members to help them with their situation. So thank you everyone for joining us. Have a great evening. All the best. Bye for now.